Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Movesets video. Today's video is going to be all about Bronzong, so let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Bronzong is a Steel Psychic type Pokemon introduced in a Generation 4 that has access to 3 abilities, the first of which being Heat Proof, which is an ability that normally would give a Pokemon a resistance to Fire-type moves, but being a Steel-type only allows Bronzong to just be able to take neutral damage from Fire-type moves, which is still a pretty good thing in and of itself. But its second ability is known as Levitate, which gives this Pokemon an immunity to ground-type attacks and as well as spikes and toxic spikes, as it will allow this Pokemon to hover over the battlefield. And then its third ability, known as Heavy Metal, increases this Pokemon's weight, which will change the damage it receives from weight-based attacks, such as Grass Knot or Low Kick, and also change the damage that it dishes out from weight-based moves, such as Heavy Slam. But as for its stats, Bronzong is a very bulky Pokemon, possessing a base 67 HP and a base 116 defense and special defense, allowing it to take hits very well from both physical and special attackers, especially because of its great defensive typing, being that of Steel Psychic, giving it a ton of resistances. Offensively though, this Pokemon has a base 89 physical attack and a base 79 special attack, which are pretty good in both departments, allowing this Pokemon to potentially run physical or special sets if it wants to have a more offensive role. And as for its speed stat, it's at a base 33 speed, which is fairly slow, but perfect for this Pokemon in that it has access to a move such as Gyro Ball, which will be obviously increasing in power the slower you are, and also can set up its own Trick Room, which can allow it to really take advantage of its low speed stat. And with all of this being taken into account, this Pokemon currently finds itself in the RU tier. So with that, let's take a look at the first moveset that I have for you in this video. So for this first moveset, we're going to start by running Bronzong Physically Defensive. So we're going to begin by giving it either a Relaxed Nature to increase its physical defense but lower its speed, or a Bold Nature to increase its physical defense but lower its physical attack. And for the ability, going with Levitate to give us that immunity to ground-type attacks. As to the EVs, we're going to max out its HP and physical defense by putting 252 EVs into both of those stats, and putting the remainder 4 EVs into its special defense. And for the item, going with Leftovers to allow this Pokemon to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. But for the first move on this set, we're going to be going with Stealth Rock, since this is a bit more of a supportive role Bronzong is going to be playing here. So this will allow you to set up hazards on your opponent's side of the field, so that your opponent's Pokemon will take damage every single time they switch in. Then for our main Steel-type move on the set, we're going to go with either Gyro Ball if wanting to run a physical variant, which you would do so with the Relaxed Nature, because this will also lower your speed, thus increasing the power of Gyro Ball because you'll be slower. Or if you want to run a special attack on this Pokemon, you can go with Flash Cannon here to give it a powerful special Steel-type move. Then for its secondary attacking option, you could either go with Earthquake to give it a really solid ground-type coverage move, or go with Psychic as a way to give this Pokemon a nice and powerful special Psychic-type attack that can be very useful. And the interesting thing about running this Pokemon either physically offensive or especially offensive on a more supportive set like this is that each one has its own advantages against your opponent's Pokemon. And there's even an option of running possibly a hidden power on a set like this one to really allow it to have just the ability to potentially counter something your opponent's team might have. But for the last move, your best bet is going either with Toxic to allow you to status your opponents and thus allow them to take increased damage at the end of every turn, Hypnosis as a way to potentially put your opponent's Pokemon to sleep, or if running this on a Trick Room team, going ahead and giving it Trick Room so that Bronzong can set up a Trick Room for itself. Additionally though, and I'm not putting this on here, but it is an additional option, you could also possibly run Explosion on a set like this, just to give this Pokemon a powerful last-ditch effort move if it's running low on health. But this same exact set can also be run specially defensive, so if you take a look at the screen right now, all we're going to do is change up our nature options, which will become either Sassy to increase our special defense but lower our speed, or Calm to increase our special defense but lower our physical attack. And then for the EVs, we're going to change it up to be 252 HP EVs, 4 defense EVs, and then 252 special defense EVs to maximize its special defense. So either way you run this Pokemon, it can be an excellent special or physical wall, and if you want to, you could even run a mixed EV spread to allow this Pokemon to take physical and special hits pretty well, regardless of what you're matched up against. Now, in addition to playing the role of the defensive wall, Bronzong can also be a great Pokemon to set up screens for your team because of its great typing and natural bulk. So we're going to start this set off by giving it either a Sassy Nature to increase its special defense but lower its speed, or a Calm Nature to increase its special defense but lower its physical attack, going with the Levitate ability again, and this time a mixed defensive EV spread of 252 HP, 184 physical defense, and 72 special defense to give it some really great mixed bulk all around. As for your item, we're either going to go with Light Clay to increase the turns of the screens we're going to be setting up from 5 to 8, a Damp Rock to possibly be used in combination with Rain Dance to increase the turns of rain from 5 to 8, or a Heat Rock to be used in combination with Sunny Day to increase the turns of sun from 5 to 8. And this set, in addition to setting up screens, can be great for any type of team like that, where you can just set up that screens, switch out into something that can easily potentially set up and sweep and take advantage of weather or something like that, or you could just use Bronzong just to set up screens and be a good defensive wall, not using it on any type of weather-based team, but it can work there. So obviously, Reflect and Light Screen are going to be our first two attacks on the set to increase our Pokemon's ability to take special and physical hits from 5 to 8 turns, depending on if you're using the Light Clay or not. And then for your main attack, either going with Gyro Ball, Flash Cannon, or Psychic to be a main stab Steel-type move, either physical with Gyro Ball or special with Flash Cannon, or run a stab Psychic move in the form of Psychic. And then in this last move slot is where we get all these extra support options of possibly running either Toxic to again allow this Pokemon the ability to wear down opponents at the end of every turn, or going with Trick Room, Rain Dance, or Sunny Day for some better team support. And Bronzong has the ability to function really well on all of these types of teams, which makes it incredibly unique and amazing when it comes down to being a dual screener, since it can support each type of team, as well as also just be able to fit on any team that would really benefit from dual screen support. But in addition to being a great defensive Pokemon, Bronzong can also hold its own as an offensive Pokemon, especially under Trick Room. So for this physical attacking Trick Room variant, we're going to start by giving it a Brave Nature to increase its physical attack but lower its speed stat, and going with any ability, either in Heat Proof, Levitate, or Heavy Metal, all of which having some use on this set. And I haven't had the chance to talk about this yet, but a lot of the time people will run Heat Proof Bronzong solely for the reason that most people will expect to Levitate. So you have your opponent expecting that, not going for ground moves, even though you would take super effective damage from them, while also simultaneously getting the added benefit of not being weak to fire type attacks, which can be very cool on an offensive set like this. But for the EVs, we're going to max out its HP with 252 into that, and also put 252 EVs into its physical attack, and put the remainder 4 EVs into its special defense. And for the item, either going with a Life Orb to increase the damage of all of your attacks at the cost of losing 10% of your health every time you damage an opponent, a Z Crystal to give you a one-time use of a super powerful move of any of the types of attacks we're running on the set, or Leftovers as an option to allow this Pokemon to be a little bit more bulky while also retaining its offensive power through the use of EVs, as this will give you some more survivability by letting you recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. But for the moves, the first one on this set is going to be Trick Room, that we're going to be setting up ourselves to use ourselves. And this will basically twist the dimensions and make it so that the slower Pokemon, which hopefully in this case will be Bronzong, will actually be attacking first against your opponents. Then with this, we're going to run our main stab physical steel type move in the form of either Gyro Ball or Heavy Slam, both of which being better or worse in certain situations. Gyro Ball obviously being better if you are very slow compared to your opponent, whereas Heavy Slam could be a little bit of a better option overall because it's based off of weight. So if you're running that, obviously go with the Heavy Metal ability to increase your weight and make this move be a little bit more effective. And through a bunch of different calculations, I haven't really figured out which one is actually better because it solely depends on your opponent's team composition. But along with this, we're going to go ahead and run Zen Headbutt as a powerful physical psychic type attack to take use of. And then also, we're going to be running Earthquake as a great coverage option in this last move slot because it's a nice and powerful ground type attack that can hit very hard against your opponents. Additionally though, we can also run Explosion on this set, either in the second or third move slot, just to give this Pokemon a really powerful normal type move, which can also be used in combination with possibly Normalium Z as your Z Crystal to give you a really awesomely powerful normal type attack to just fire off, and then also later on use to explode in the battle if given the opportunity. But in addition to running a physically offensive based Trick Room set, you can also run a specially based one. So to change this setup a bit, we're going to go ahead and give it a Quiet Nature to increase its special attack but lower its speed stat, and then going either with Levitate or Heat Proof because Heavy Metal doesn't really have a use on a specially offensive set. But for the EVs, we're going to change them up a bit to be 252 HP, 252 special attack, and 4 special defense EVs, and then again going with Trick Room as our main move to obviously allow us to damage our opponents with being slower than them, but now being faster than them because of Trick Room. But then running a bunch of special attacks in the form of either Flash Cannon for your stab steel type move, Psychic or Psyshock for your stab psychic type attack, and then for your last move, running either Grass Knot or Hidden Power Fire for some additional type coverage that will help out this Pokemon in damaging things that it is matched up against. Finally, for the last moveset of this video, I'm going to be showing off what is probably one of my favorite Bronzong sets to run, which is that of a Calm Mind set. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a Bold Nature to increase its physical defense but lower its physical attack, going with the Levitate ability, and an EV spread of 252 HP, 252 physical defense, and 4 special attack to max out your physical defense and HP stats. And for the item on the set, we're either going to go with Leftovers to allow this Pokemon to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn, a Chesto Berry to wake us up when we are put to sleep, either through the use of using the move Rest or by an opponent's attack, or a Wiki Berry, which is a great recovery berry that will allow this Pokemon to recover 50% of its health when it falls below 25% of its health. And being such a bulky Pokemon, you can almost anticipate that happening more so than you would typically think, which gives this Pokemon a little bit of a better recovery option outside of Rest or Leftovers if you would like to try using it this way. But for the moves on the set, the first one that we're going to be going with is going to be Calm Mind to allow us to increase our special defense and special attack by 1 stage every time we go for it, thus making this Pokemon increasingly more bulky and also increasingly more powerful. Then we're going to go ahead and run Flash Cannon as our main stab steel type move, and either Psychic or Psyshock as our main stab electric type attack. Finally, for the last move on the set, we can run an additional coverage option in the form of Grass Knot or Hidden Power Fire, but we can also run a recovery option in the form of either Rest, which can be used in combination with the Chesto Berry, or Recycle, which can be used in combination with the Wiki Berry, which can be very cool to make use of, and allow this Pokemon to sustain itself a little bit better throughout the battle. But overall, a Calm Mind set on Bronzong can be very great, especially if you're matched up against a lot of things that really will struggle to take this Pokemon out normally because of its great defensive typing and great defensive stats, and thus allows this Pokemon to also boost up and be pretty powerful in the process. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video on Bronzong, honestly one of my favorite 4th gen Pokemon. So I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.